Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Before we begin, I would just like to give a quick shout out to Destiny. Hey girl, you were the first to comment on my last video and I just want to say thank you so much for all of your support. So today we're going to be doing another story time, and this is another story that was sent in by a bestie. It's going to be a story on how this bestie lost her V card. Let me tell you guys, it's pretty iconic. So really quickly before we begin, I just want to say if you guys have any stories that you'd like me to tell, please check the description box below. My email and my Instagram is in there, so you can shoot me a Instagram DM or you can shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to tell your story. They're nice because, you can get your story told, look at the feedback, look at the comments. If you need to vent, let stuff out that you never let out before. All the stories I tell are anonymous. Your identity is safe with me. So, yeah, let's get right into this story. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot one last comment. I'm using the dual forms, the straight dual forms that I used in a prior video. If you guys haven't seen that video and you need a more in-depth tutorial on how to use these straight dual forms, then you can click the link above or just go to my page and look up straight dual form tutorial and you'll find it. But all right, so I think that's all I had to say. Yeah, so let's get right into the story time. So at the time, we're gonna call this bestie Linda, and that's gonna be her alias. So at the time, Linda was a junior in college. Sorry, back up. At the time, Linda was a junior in high school, and she had been friends with a girl, and we'll name this girl Chrissy. So we'll say Linda and Chrissy. So I was friends with this girl, Chrissy, and we had already had some prior falling outs that I won't even get into, but she did me dirty a few times. One of our biggest falling outs was when she left me for this new girl that came to our school. This new girl had thousands of followers on Instagram, and she was kind of IG famous and wanted to be her friend, so she left me for the dirt and became friends with me. And then when the other girl didn't want to be friends with her anymore, she came back wanting to be my best friend again, and I accepted her like a dummy. So that's where they're at, but they became friends again, and at the time Linda was dating a guy named, we'll call him Billy. So Linda and Billy were dating, but it wasn't official. I liked Billy, but I didn't want a relationship with him. I kind of just wanted to play around with him. And that's very understandable because, girl, I feel you. So I was playing around with Billy. I did have feelings for him, but like I said, I didn't want to be in a relationship with him. So me, Billy, and Chrissy all went to Billy's house because Billy was throwing a small get-together. There were a bunch of other people there, and me and Billy were just hanging out, cuddling and all. And Chrissy just looked very envious, and she was on edge the whole time. And I pulled her to the side and asked her what was wrong, but she said nothing. So about 3 weeks had passed, and at this time I was just fed up and I didn't want to bother with Billy anymore. So I ended things with Billy, but like I said, I still kind of had feelings for him. I just didn't want a relationship at the time. And that's very understandable. I feel you. So of course, me and my best friend were like thick and thin. We were always on the phone together. We were always with each other. When you saw her, you saw me. Even though we didn't have the same classes, we always waited for each other outside of our classes, met up in the hallways between classes, sat next to each other at lunch and all. We were like sisters. So, of course, I told her about me and Billy and how I ended things with him. I was sad, but like I said, I wasn't interested in anything more. A few weeks later, I figure out that my friend Chrissy is talking to Billy. And at the time, I'm like, that's very strange because even though I know I ended things, there's a whole bunch of different fish in the sea. Our school had over 2,000 kids, and we also knew people from other schools, and you just had to pick on Billy. First of all, alert, alert, she's fake. But anyway, let's continue. So she decided that she wanted to be with Billy, and she didn't even really ask me or say anything about it. She kind of just threw it out there and said that her and Billy had started talking. I thought it was weird, but I didn't want to start a scene or anything and lose my friendship with her, so I just kind of let it slide, even though it did bother me. Girl, you better than me. I would have been like, excuse me? Bitch, it's a whole bunch of different fish in the sea, and you want to pick the one that I just told you I ended things with? You're a weirdo. So as our friendship continues, it starts to bother me more and more because they're hanging out more and she's constantly talking about Billy and how much she likes Billy, and it seems like they're about to be in a relationship. I know I ended things with him, so I shouldn't feel any type of way, but it just didn't feel right to me. At the time, when I was talking to Billy, Chrissy was also talking to another guy that actually broke up with her. She was heartbroken about it, but then she started talking to Billy, who took her mind off of things. So as I said, I felt some type of way about her being with Billy. So, checkmate. I knew what I had to do. Girl, wait a minute, because I know exactly where this is about to go. So she said she wanted to start talking to Billy, and she talked about him more and more. And even though I acted like I didn't care and that I was happy for her, I secretly did care a lot, and I was really hurt about it. So I decided to talk to... Okay, we're going to call the guy that Chrissy, the dude that broke up with Chrissy before she was talking to Billy, Ian. His name is going to be Ian. So I decided to talk to Ian. Ian fell right for the trap, and he was just in love with me. He would call me all the time. He would want to take me out on dates all the time. He would come to my house, and we would just sit in the car and talk all night long. So I only had one thing on my mind, which was to make her jealous and to have Ian fall in love with me. Oh my God. So one night it was time to make the kill. I remember the night exactly. I had on a strapless romper. It was a warm summer night, and at the time I was 17 years old. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I went downstairs, turned off our alarm system so my parents couldn't hear, and snuck out the house. At the time, Ian had a beat-up, broken-down Honda with the bumper hanging off. He had his license plate attached to it with strings. He had a hoopty, and it was a bad one. He pulled up to my house, and I snuck out, and we got in the car, and I told him to get in the back seat. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I lost my V-card. In the back seat of a broken down, beat up hoopty, all because I wanted to get revenge on my best friend. Now, let's get into the story. Now, let's get into the actual process of losing my V-card. It was horrible. It was so small that it didn't even hurt, and I barely even felt it. And for my first time, that should say a lot. It lasted about 5 seconds, and I was like, wow, this is what people complain about? I thought it would be more painful than this. Yo, I'm freaking dead, y'all. So after we finished, we sat in the back seat and cuddled, and he told me how he wanted to be with me. And he asked me to be his girlfriend and all. I was like, wow, perfect. While we were doing the Uno, I snuck a picture so I could send it to Chrissy. I went back in the house, and the next morning when we went to school, I showed Chrissy the picture and told her that I was dating Ian, and he asked me out last night, and I lost my V-card to him. She was heated. She had no clue that I was talking to him at all. This was the first time she ever heard about it. So that is the story of how I lost my V-card out of spite and because I wanted to get revenge. It was terrible, it didn't feel good, and I didn't even like the kid at all, not one bit. In fact, a few weeks after dating him, I broke up with him and I got in another relationship with a different dude. Girl, what is wrong? I'm weak, like. So about 3 weeks had passed, and I started dating this guy from my job that I was interested in. I broke up with him. He was heartbroken, and I fell back from being friends with Chrissy but we eventually became friends again. A few years later, we eventually cut it off officially and weren't friends anymore because, as you could tell, we had a very toxic friendship. You definitely did have a very toxic friendship. But yep, that's the time I lost my V card. Crazy story, but I would love to hear the other ladies in the comments tell their stories on how they lost their V card. Yeah, me too. I would really love to hear it. So, I'll actually tell my story on how I lost mine. To be honest, this is going to sound so like wild. I kind of have a similar story though. Like, that's maybe I'll tell that in my next video on how I lost my V card personally, but I like somewhat have a similar story, but I ended up falling in love and I was with the dude for like 4 years. So, actually not 4 years, like 3 years, but yeah. That's a crazy story though. That's a crazy story though, but I really do want to hear the other besties tell their stories. So if you guys want to leave them in the comments, definitely do that. Or like I said, if you want to shoot me an email or an Instagram DM and tell your story on how you lost your V card, definitely do that because I know somebody listening to this has a wild story like hers. And like I said, maybe I'll tell mine's in next week's video or the week after, but thank you guys so much for listening. We have come to the end of the video. Today is Thursday, so you know what that means. I will catch you guys on Monday. We'll see. I might upload some more videos next week because I have off from work. And that's my last week off before I start working full time. Thank you guys so much for all of the congratulations for graduation. If you guys follow me on Instagram and left it in the comments, I see them. I know I haven't been the best at responding, but I'm going to get better. It just got so busy with graduation and like my last finals and stuff. So like I said, I'm going to get better, but thank you so much for all the congratulations. I really appreciate it. I love you guys. Please don't forget to leave me a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys on Monday. Bye.